Hi, I'm Tane.
And I'm Aid, and this is Altar Call, a Married at First Sight podcast.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the first of our off-season episodes. And our first show that we are touching on is Summer House Martha's Vineyard, aka Black Summer House. And this is season 2, the first 6 episodes. Is that right? First
Yeah,
six?
first six, yes.
Yes, first 6 episodes. Hi, Aid. How are you?
I am good. How are you?
I'm good. Excited to talk about Summer House. I'm excited at the number of messages that we got about people who gave it a shot because we talked about it during their first season. I think that's exciting, and I need more of you to go watch Summer House Martha's Vineyard.
Makes me feel like an influencer. Um, it's a very, very good show. I mean, I do spend a lot of it confused. I definitely had to binge because of life, but it was a very happy binge. But a lot of times I'm like, what the hell is going on? And also, because I don't watch White Summer House, I have no basis of comparison for this show really, besides like Housewives. And this is not the same thing. So yeah.
Even though you don't watch White Summer House, I have a question for you because someone asked me this question and I seem to be in the minority. Like even my husband was in the majority, even though he watches neither of the shows. Okay, so for those who don't know the basis of the summer houses, I think you can go back and listen to our first recap about it and you can get a recap of what the premise of the shows are. But my question is on White Summer House, they go from New York to the Hamptons. Every weekend they have to drive from the city to the Hamptons and then they go back home and then they come back all summer long. On Martha's Vineyard, because they all live in different places, they spend 2 weeks in a house on Martha's Vineyard nonstop, well, 15 days or whatever. Which would you rather do? Spend 15 days straight or go home every weekend and then come back all summer?
15 days.
That's everybody's answer. I chose the White Summer House going home because I'm like, I can't spend 15 days straight in that mess of a house with so
Oh,
much drama. I need to recharge. As long as someone's driving me to New York, I need to recharge and be like, okay, I'm just spending 2 days with these people. I can do it. I can do it. So I think that's very interesting. So far, everyone I know has chosen 15 days straight. I can't.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
So when they're going back and forth each weekend, is it
Mhm.
developing storylines like what happens on the weekdays? Like they come back and they're like, well, this week this happened. Now we have to address it in the house, or does it almost not even play a part?
No, it does. Because sometimes, like, say, for example, this season, Sierra and West have a thing or whatever. And when he took her out on a date, it was during the week. And, we followed them to where they went, how he picked her up, and all that kind of good stuff or whatever. So sometimes it does play a part. Or Kyle and Amanda, she's trying to get him to move to the suburbs. And they went, quote unquote, house hunting because the internet sleuths found out that it wasn't really in Jersey, that it was a house that was in the Hamptons. But, assuming it was like that stuff, they went house hunting and all that stuff, but it's something that they're fighting about. So we get little tidbits, but it's not like a huge thing. Most of the drama is stuff that happens during the weekend.
Do
And
they
also,
film?
yeah,
They film during the weekdays too, even though technically the show is about coming to the
yeah.
summer house. They do film on weekdays.
Yeah, because the B-roll that they show, sometimes it's like a montage or someone like Paige, whose boyfriend, Craig, is in Summer House. We showed them, they're trying to get a bigger place. He came to visit her during the week. We see them in their house. Last season, all 3 girls, there was a scene in there where they all tested their fertility and, crying about it and things like that. That was during the week. So they have to film and they probably have to sift through it and find what would be important or what would make a good montage. And then, like, Lindsay and Ka had a housewarming last season, and that was in the city also. So they have to film all week long and we just get tidbits, but most of it is the house. Which, by the way, I must say, this season is on fire. White Summer House, but for those that watch, but yeah.
It's kind of similar to Girls Trip. The way they do it on we did. I'm gonna stop calling it Black Summer House now. On Martha's Vineyard. Not that you should, but I'm just saying I'm gonna stop now.
Oh,
Um,
Ultimate Girls Trip. I was thinking about the movie. I'm like, what? Okay, got it. The Housewives Ultimate Girls Trip.
yes, it's very.
Okay.
That's more similar. Like trapped
Yes.
together for a while, make your TV,
Yes.
and then I mean the visitors though, because that was a big part of this week. Really add to
Yeah.
the complexion of everything.
Yeah.
But yeah,
But I feel like that is seemingly, if they get more seasons, that's going to be the DNA of of Martha's Vineyard. It almost feels like they're auditioning people to see who fits, who doesn't. Because I think the first season, the visitors were also a big part of it. They were
yes,
just rotating people coming in and out.
and significant others too.
Yeah, it was couples weekend in the latest episode.
But I felt
So,
like last season, like I think Simon came much earlier. I'm not sure how long he's staying this time, but it felt like he was like around much more than just like a drop in one episode. But we'll see how long Simon visits.
hmm,
Anyway,
yeah.
there's a
What
lot
do
of
we?
stuff going on. A lot of
I
stuff going on.
know.
Like, where do we start? I feel
Okay.
like we start with Preston because he's my favorite.
Okay. Wait. What I want to say, like, should we start with how do we feel about the cast they settled with for the second season? Because there was just slight changes.
I'm fine. I'm fine. Uh, there are probably a couple people who could go.
Yeah, the internet is not liking Amir.
Really? Amir is the dumbest
Yes.
person ever, but he is great TV. Even like he's very entertaining. He's very nice to look at.
But you had an issue. You had an issue with it, right? You felt like he wasn't doing enough to explore his blackness, right?
I think I did say that he could do a little bit more research into his own culture. Yes, I mean I wouldn't
um.
say I had an issue with it.
Okay.
I would say it was an observation of mine, but not. I would
Okay.
never in a million years though say that that's a reason for him to not be on this show. If anything,
Okay.
hanging out longer will help him in his quest.
Okay. So the issue with him is more like, I think that's part of it. But again, people have issues for anything or whatever. But I think this season it's more about his girlfriend and that he's not really adding anything, which I disagree with because I think his girlfriend alone is enough storyline. It's weird, but I think they're also mad at him for the whole Mariah thing.
It's so hard as a reality TV fan to know what you should be mad at a person for and keep them on my screen so I can continue to be mad at them, or you can you can get rid of them because you're annoyed. Because I see the Mariah thing as yet another reason to keep him.
Yes. I think his reality fodder, like you said, he's not smart. And that plays a lot. And then who else is going to cook for them and clean for them? That man is always cooking, cleaning, and doing something. And I do think he's a sweetheart. I do think, yes, he's a little dim, but I think he's a sweetheart. He's doing his best on there. But okay, we can go back to Preston.
So Preston started the season. This show, I'm not gonna lie, sometimes the show veers into Real Housewives of New York reboot territory. Um,
In what
where
way?
the trauma and everybody sharing their different traumas. On one hand, we're getting to know people, and I like that. On the other hand, when collectively, it's a lot of like trauma. So
Mm.
like Preston started it with his dad telling us that he just passed away. He's not going to the funeral. Throughout the course of the season, he shares stuff about his relationship with his dad. I want to make it very clear. I really it seems strange to say I enjoyed it, but I was interested in getting to know that part of Preston. It was by the time we were on the third, fourth person, I was like, oh, this is a theme. Jordan and like being an only child of an only child who passed away and taking care of elderly like family members. I don't want to sound cold. I'm just saying it's a lot.
I'm thinking about it because I never noticed. I just feel like it just comes with being like a human. Like, I don't know. It just feels like they have to share their life story. So I'm trying to think of other shows to see if that's usually how it is, but maybe now they're many seasons in, so we don't think about that anymore, but they're pretty new. So it's part of the process of us getting to know them and understanding why they do the things they do.
That's what they say. That's what they say. I do this because of this. I believe them sometimes, and other times I'm like, this just sounds like an excuse for your really poor behavior.
Okay, so let me say this. Is there another show that you think doesn't lean heavy on the trauma per se or the life story that is
Life doesn't happen biweekly, so why should payday? The money you make can be in your hands today with Earn In. Earn In is an app that gives you access to your pay as you work, up to $100 per day or up to $750 per pay period. Just download the Earn In app and verify your paycheck. Then access up to $100 a day as you work and leave an optional tip. Any money you access plus tips are automatically repaid from your next paycheck. Summer is coming and it is time for all of us to go on vacation. You can use the money you earn from Earn In to buy a new bathing suit or some new clothes for your fun summer vacation.
download Earn In today, spelled EARNIN, in the Google Play or Apple App Store. When you download the Earn In app, type in Alto Call under podcast. When you sign up, it'll really help the show. That's Alto Call under podcast. Subject to your available earnings, location, daily max, and pay period max. See earnin.com/TOS for details. Earnin is a financial technology company, not a bank. Bank products are issued by Evolve Bank and Trust, member FDIC. Just is
I
because
think
that's where I'm
there's always
stuck.
a quantity about it. So I think that New York originals, we learned during the course of all their seasons, we learned all their trauma. But I felt like it came out over the course of a lot of seasons.
They were
Uh,
drunk and didn't live through a pandemic. I'm half kidding, but
But New York, the reboot, we learned everything about everybody in their first season. There was a lot of it. And this
yeah,
feels very much the same.
yeah. I think we're gonna see that in a lot of the new shows that we see now because we're living in a different quote unquote era, and we saw that in the latest season of Maths, where we said a lot of people were speaking in therapy speak. So there's a lot of people who had a what do you call it introspective moment, especially after the pandemic. So a lot of people are being in tune with whatever's wrong, this is why I'm doing it, and all of that stuff. So I'm seeing what you're saying, and now I'm beginning to think of why is that the case, and that's my guess because I'm thinking about Vanderpump Villa, and we've had a lot of I did this and I did that, and Lisa is therapizing, you know, them. So I
Never
think that's the new world.
I mean, I'm not gonna watch Vanderpump Villa, but I'm actually horrified by the idea of Lisa Vanderpump trying to therapize people. If ever there was a person not equipped.
Thou shalt not talk ill of my girl, but okay. Okay. Okay.
Talking of Preston, because I also binge this, the DVR will also record the Watch What Happens Live After, and there have been a lot of, by my estimation, a lot of Martha's Vineyard folks on Watch What Happens Live. Very great to see. And Preston, apparently Candace is a huge supporter. You can see it on Twitter of Martha's Vineyard. And Preston was so funny when he was asked about Candy leaving Real Housewives of Potomac, and he's like,
Candace? You said Candace.
Candace, I don't know. On Twitter, sometimes she's Candy Gal, so it's like really hard to keep up. Um, uh, so he was asked about Candace leaving, and he's like, "I'm just really sad, but I know she has other things to do." And then he was asked about both Candace and Robin at the same time, and he only answered about Candace. And then Andy's like, "So what about Robin?" And he goes, "I'm very sad that Candace is leaving." It was really funny. It was really funny. Hope you guys caught that.
He is funny. I have not caught any of their Watch what happens live, except Alex's, which is
With
yesterday.
the OG Candy.
Yes,
Sorry, you guys,
yes.
for the confusion, but yes.
She said OG candy. There's only one candy, ma'am. I mean, I can't remember if I mentioned this, so if I did, I'm sorry. I had a moment with Preston at BravoCon, um, last BravoCon, because they had that whole, I can't remember which one I went to, one of the Watch What Happens live taping, and Jordan and Preston were the only, well, Uba was there, where it was very few black people that were on there, but they were not throwing any questions in their direction. I think they got like one question the whole night. And I just felt so bad. And then the way people would cheer, and it's like, yes, I get it, they're a new show, but they weren't getting like much of the love. So after the show ended, I wanted to just say, hey, we're supporting you, we're here, we see you. And the security guy wanted to turn me away. Actually, not wanted to, he turned me away and told me to back off from the stage. And I was like, don't go. But Preston was kind enough, and he was like, no, let her through, let her come through. And then I got to relay the message, and I was like, we see you, we appreciate you guys, and yeah, we're just here for you, we support you. And that was it. That's my
That's
little
really
anecdote.
great. You guys, you must have seen the announcement that there will be no BravoCon this year, which I actually think is great because they're like, we'll come back next year. And I'm like, if you come back next year, I'm actually more likely to be there.
I know. I don't know why that is. Everyone, like, people keep saying it's because of Andy. I don't think so, but I'm very interested. They make a lot of money with this, so I'm wondering what the reason was for not having it.
I wanted to, but I also think it makes more sense to space it out. Like, gives you time to premiere new shows, gives you time for like people, more fandoms. Um, I think it makes sense to space it out and give us a year off.
I think so. I think the reason why they don't have it is because they don't have the full slate of shows. Like currently, right now, the only housewife show is going to be Jersey and Dubai, and we all know Dubai is like an afterthought. So if they have it like in November, there's nothing that would have been on. Atlanta has been off for a while. It wouldn't be fair to have anything without Atlanta on there. Potomac is going through whatever is going through. So, like you said, I think the space is needed. So by next year, everything would have been in full swing again. Okay, so the main thing with Summer House, and I gotta just say Martha's Vineyard, not Summer House. I think we need to talk about Silas. Silas not being there. I think that Silas is the main reason why I tell people to watch season one. When people are like, "Oh, do I need to start from season one? Do I need to can I just start in season two?" And like, you have to watch season one to understand Silas, because I don't know how to explain Silas to anyone, and they just have to see it. And him not being around, I'm okay with it. Not gonna lie. I feel bad for Jasmine, but I'm okay with it.
Jasmine is kind of a non-factor this season. And I don't know if it's because of the lack of Silas or being pregnant. I don't know what it is, but I don't understand how she went from the center of the show to like barely a side character.
She deserves it. She was the Dorinda last year, Blue Manor. She was the host, and it was a lot of pressure. I don't know. They need to veer away from that. It doesn't help anyone when you are the host. There's just too much pressure. And I think with a lot of it with Silas, and I think the fractured relationships, she was the glue, and everyone decided they didn't like her, which is a little understandable because she was a lot. She was a lot last year. She went the whole I got married, so now I'm different, and her friends didn't recognize her. And in a way, she kind of alienated herself. That being said, this is a new season. Some time has passed. I don't think I like the way she's being treated now.
It's hard to tell with the casting of the show what is real and what is not, in the sense that from the viewer perspective, I'm looking at this and I'm like, this girl is the center of the show. Why are you freezing out the center of the show? It seems a little rude. Like I feel like they owe her, but I don't know if they would agree with that or what the casting process was actually like. So I can't say that. It just feels that way.
Yeah, I think she is not the center of the show anymore. And if we look out who the breakouts were from the season, arguably, we would say we could list like four people before I say Jasmine. Like Jordan is more known. She was on Winter House. She was the one on the panel at BravoCon. Amir, simply based on his looks and him just wanting to be on reality TV, and Andy really appreciates him. And Preston is Mr. Congeniality. Everybody loves Preston. So I would list all those people before Jasmine. So she was the axis to get the show going, but coming into season two, I don't think she has that anymore.
That said, there's the show and there's real life, and it feels like they're also freezing her out in real life too. I mean,
Mhm.
or you could say she separated herself. I mean, I don't know what came first, the chicken or the egg, but I just felt bad for her. And it's like, well,
Yeah.
now Silas is gone. You really kind of need all these people, and I don't know if they're ready to be there for her.
Yeah, I think it's too much, which will segue me into Jordan. I, was so ready to love Jordan season one, and I don't think I'm a fan. I don't think she's cut out for reality TV. You cannot be guarded and be on reality TV. She's offended by everything. She never really lets loose to what you said at the top of the episode. She explained why, but it's also a reality show. We're looking to be entertained. But, yeah, I don't know what to say. And I think the crime doesn't fit the punishment unless something else happened with Jasmine off camera. And there could be good old, maybe she just outgrew Jasmine, but you can still be kind to someone, you know?
She comes out very like cold this season and uncaring.
She came off the same way the first season to me, too. Same thing in Winter House. She did let loose a little bit, but she was still a little guarded. Um, And, even when you try to be on her side, the things happen when, oh my God, was it Summer or was it Shanice? I can't remember. Who tried to talk to her and she started yelling at her. And then when Jasmine finally announced that she was pregnant and she kind of took a dig at Silas, and it was like, what are you doing?
Time and a place. Time and a place.
Oh, not cute. Not good at all. But she's forming friendships with other people. And again, it's natural for people to be closer than others, but it doesn't have to equate to icing Jasmine out. But I like Jasmine having this, besides the whole baby daddy not being around for the kid, I kind of like her having breathing room because Silas does suck the air out of the room when she's there. She doesn't have any room to breathe.
So she talked about it on her Watch What Happens Live thing appearance. And Andy was like, so, what was the effects of your relationship of Silas seeing himself act like an ass on camera? First, it was very interesting because first she said, I'm the only one who can hold him accountable for his behavior in our relationship. Then she said, his family saw him too, and they set him straight about how bad he looked and that he could not even watch the last two episodes of last season because they were so bad. So I think from that, we're supposed to believe that Silas had some growth and whatnot. I just tend not to believe it, or I'll believe it when I see it.
Yeah,
I'm going to need him to come back for another season, and then I can assess whether I think Silas has grown beyond what he was season one.
yeah, yeah. And for anyone who's just trying to gauge just how, you know, not so bright Amir is, how do you not know that Jasmine is pregnant?
This whole I
How,
was
like,
sucking in, I was like, sucking in what?
oh, but she showed it. She
She
showed how she
showed.
sucked it in.
I'm sure she tried. There is no way you can suck in for 10 hours a day filming. I don't think that happened. I think she probably would breathe every now and then. People would look over and be like, oh, yeah, she's pregnant. Not drinking. Oh, yeah, she's pregnant. She'll tell us when she's ready, which is exactly what she did.
And most importantly, like everybody said, and I quote, the titties. Everyone just seems to say like her boobs were absolutely spilling over. And honestly, I don't blame her for keeping it. One, she was waiting to be out of her first trimester, and also, why would I share good news with people who don't seem to be invested in me? because there's a lot of double standards. Because when they went after when they first came and they went after Alex for not inviting them to an event, why are some people invited but some aren't invited? I think it counts that some of them went to Jamaica and they didn't tell some of them that they were going to Jamaica. So just like every other reality show, there's a double standard.
And just like every friend group, some people are in, some people are out.
Yeah, let's talk about Alex, who from season one I thought was the hottest man in the house. Amir doesn't do it for me. I get it. I see that he's not. Like you can appreciate that someone is good looking, but they might not just do it for you. Amir doesn't do it for me, but Alex, I think Alex is very, very cute.
I looked at him today and I was like, this man is Ken. He's a Ken doll. The little goatee and everything. I'm like, that is a Ken doll man.
Yeah, he is. And for those who don't know, he is like John Legend's cousin. So they always give him shit because Chrissy watches everything on Bravo. So they give him shit while watching.
I loved on when he was on Watch What Happens Live and he talked about how when he goes to John Legend and Chrissy Teigen's house, which you're like, you just go there, you just go there to hang out, because that's your cousin. Chrissy Teigen loves Bravo. She came to BravoCon the other year, and she makes him watch the episode, and then they rag on him. I loved that. I was like, that could be a TV show. Alex watches Summer House Martha's Vineyard with Chrissy and John, and they make fun of him. I would watch that.
You can. She posted on her Instagram.
Oh, okay. I must be following the wrong Instagram. I don't see that.
Yeah, it's on there.
All I see are her kids and her cookie dough. Anyway, carry on.
um, yeah. So apparently Alex is allegedly a fuckboy. I don't know. I don't know what the hookup culture is now. It's always been my rule ever since I was younger. If you're with someone, unless they explicitly say that you are together, do not assume that you are together. Just assume that they're having a good time until they surprise you and say, "Oh, I just thought we were together," or "Can we be together?" But time and time and time again, we see people catch feelings and then get mad that they're not being treated like a girlfriend because you're expecting too much. That being said, if you're hooking up with someone, yes, you should treat them with respect, but don't assume that you are a girlfriend because, yeah, that's expected too much. So I don't understand where Summer is it Summer or Shanice?
It's
Summer.
summer.
Yeah. I
I
don't
know
know
the
where
struggle though. I know the struggle. Go ahead.
I don't know where she came from, coming in really hot, saying that he did this, and now we have to listen to her always say, "You were inside me, you were inside me," and all that stuff. And she seems pretty pissed for someone who she rates 5. But okay.
Um, I think weaponizing that you slept with somebody. It it doesn't look. I mean, I wouldn't say it looks bad. You just look a little silly. Like you were inside of me is not a strong argument.
It is to her. It is to her. And then the whole thing that happened, I know this is season 1, where she allegedly, stalked the actor and kept going on and on. I still don't understand why Alex was the bad guy there. It is, due diligence. He said he Googled it and it came up. And wait, is that Shanice?
Yeah, that's Shanice.
Oh, sorry. Yes, and I still don't know why he was a. Either way, I'm switching over, I guess, and I still don't know why he was a bad guy because I'm trying to see if these are the things that makes him a fuck boy.
But
Unless I'm
then,
forgetting stuff, what makes him a fuck boy?
well, he said that he's a reformed fuckboy on Watch What Happens Live, which means that I guess he was a fuckboy at some point. The whole thing about Shanice and the stalker and the thing, I did not understand it until I was like, wait, this is TV.
What do you
Yes,
mean?
we can. When she comes on TV, we can all Google her and find it because it was out there. It was not hard to find. But
Mm-hmm.
if you say it while we're filming a TV show and it ends up on TV, I guarantee you more people would know about it because I mean, if for me, for instance, I'm not Googling the cast of a TV show for the most part. Like, I'm just not doing that. But I didn't have to, and I still got that news. So all of the anger and stuff, I don't think is even about, oh, you brought it up at our summer vacation. They have to say that because it's a TV show. The anger is that you brought it up on the TV shows. So other people will now know.
Oh, on camera. Okay. Okay, yeah. Arguing about the things that we don't know. Yeah, Shanice is coming in with a lot of anger this season, and
Yes.
she needs to find a way to bridle that anger because it is now irrational. Because I can understand being upset that my friend thinks I'm the worst dressed, but then when you conflate it with the fact that I lost my job, I can't afford clothes. Have you heard of thrifting? Like, I don't necessarily think that you have to have a lot of money to be able to dress well. You can have a lot of money and still dress terribly. But she's going through a lot, and everything is sensitive and a trigger for her. And the latest episode was truly, truly the worst of it all.
Can I just want to offer a watch what happens live tidbit about the whole clothing situation.
Okay.
Summer said on Watch What Happens Live, which I was like, wow, you guys can do that? She said, look, you have to ask for clothes. She's like, there's a whole email format thing that I gave to her and told her, with like, go to the companies and ask for clothes for filming. That's what we all do. It won't cost you anything. They will send you clothes for free, which I was like, really? They will. Um,
Wow.
and that she said Shanice did not do that. Even though I gave her everything on how to do this, she did not do that. And then now she's crying about not having any clothes and not having any money when she never needed either of those things to get free clothes like the rest of us did.
Ah. Wow. Man, these influencers in reality show people, they're living the life. They don't have to pay for nothing.
I was truly shocked. I was like, you can just send a company an email, and I'm assuming you email 50 companies, you might get five. But still, that's five free sets of clothes.
It's also a free ad. Well, that's the thing. I don't think I can recognize anybody that they're wearing, but maybe with the wrong audience. I don't know who it comes from. But yeah, so speaking of Shanice, she does tell us that she's going through a lot. She's in between jobs. Her grandmother, who raised her, is going through surgery, but she kind of just goes off on, first of all, Bria, who didn't say anything. She was all she said was "you're scared," and she went off, and that became a whole thing. And then she goes off on Noelle, who we're gonna go back to. I think she's a great, great addition this season. And then she tells us in the confessional what it's truly about. She's just jealous of the bond that's being formed by them because they are light. And I get that. There's some friendships that can be heavy. Like if you're going through stuff, you don't want to be the one to be like, oh, I'm going through this, I'm going through that. And there are just some people who are just having fun. And that's what she sees in the trio. And she wants to have that, but she can't have that. I think the other layer also is like I think Noelle came as her friend, and Noelle seems to be assimilating easily and better with all the people. And I think that was confirmed for me when she pushed her, suddenly turns to Brea and said, "Are you happy? I pushed her." I still don't know what that means.
I've was she trying to imply that Bria was instigating for a fight? Because it's like, no, the only person who was instigating
Oh.
anything was you. Um, and I will also
Oh.
say, every time Noelle comes on, love her to death, great addition to the cast. I'm like, look, it's baby Phaedra.
Ah, maybe light skin Phaedra.
Maybe like
Uh-huh.
Phaedra.
I didn't notice until you said it. But yes, she's great. I wish she didn't cry because of Alex. Okay, again, I will say that is her flaw. Like going after Alex is a little kind of weird, knowing that he went after your friend, and then, well, your friend not mentioning that he was inside of her the whole time. But even after you found out about that, you still went after him and then told him your feelings. Like, good for you, girl, for shooting your shot, but just let it be. You don't want to be in that mess because you already see your friend, you see how upset she is about it. You don't want to be in that mess. But other than that, she's pretty damn great.
I thought when she was crying to her mom about it, I was like, girl, get a grip. And then the longer I thought about it, the more I was like, oh, it's okay. Because I also don't think she dwelled on it. I think she had a moment, talked to her mom, and I feel like we haven't heard about it since.
Yeah, that's how you move on. Um, I
I
don't
will
like
say this, though. This is what I mean by I don't want to. When she started equating a guy who she met a couple weeks ago, not liking to her childhood trauma of her dad not being present, this is where the trauma, I'm just like, what is this?
but it, well, it makes
Every
sense to me. Just,
I,
I don't know.
I'm just like the rejection. Yeah, being rejected sucks. It hurts, and I get it, but I just your it equates to your not equates, but it relates to your dad not being. Uh, you barely, it's not
Yeah.
like you guys were in a relationship. You just had a little crush.
Yeah, but it's a soft spot. I mean, and maybe I'm just defending because I can relate to that. I did go through that phase as someone who has daddy issues, and some people take rejection. Everybody has a trigger. Do you agree with that? Or
Everybody, yeah,
no?
I mean, everybody has a
Yeah, everybody
trigger.
has things that they're sensitive about. And sometimes it's not really about that particular thing, but it just adds to it. Like you'll be, oh my God, this is yet one more thing. And it just feels like when you think about it, like, oh my God, if my dad who brought me in here doesn't want me or does not think I'm worthy, it doesn't make sense, but that's just what triggers are, like quote unquote trauma. So then it becomes this magnitude thing. So she's crying. It's not necessarily Alex, like, oh yeah, I don't know, but it's just like accumulation of like, oh my God, yet another person doesn't want me. Am I not good enough? Doesn't always make sense, but yeah. Oh, Aid, I can only be as cool as you when I grow up. I'm just swimming in feelings.
I have feelings. I can't believe I had to say that. I have feelings. I just the sometimes the magnitude of other people's feelings, I get confused by the circumstance. Like sometimes people feel very big feelings, and I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. And then other times I'm like, but I don't get it. I didn't realize that event could have that much of an effect on you.
Well, speaking of feelings, I have big feelings about Bria. I do not like her. She
I don't
is
like her
so
either.
annoying. So annoying. She is, when you see someone as an actor and you can see that they're acting, we can see that knows that she's on reality TV and she's not acting natural and letting it translate. She's trying to give us a show and it's annoying. And it's not working on any front at all.
Let's talk about the dog.
Ugh.
Because last year I was really annoyed with Bria for bringing the dog to the house. I don't care for dogs. So I was team everybody who was like, why did you bring this dog? And then every freaking episode, Milo, okay, I'll admit it, Milo's cute. Milo was destroying something every episode, and Bria does not take it seriously. I'm like, if you have a dog, aren't you supposed to be training them to not do that shit? Isn't
Well,
that
they
what a
say
good
dog.
dog owner does is train their dog to behave?
They say dogs act like their owners. So that what you were referring to, where that dog was ripping off that room, is just as chaotic as his mama.
And his mama walks in and said, "Oh, you made a mess."
Like
Every
it's
time,
nothing.
like it's nothing.
Like it's nothing. I can't believe she and Simon are still together. I honestly couldn't tell if she likes this man or not, or if she just likes someone to take out her frustrations on. But I guess they do like each other and they're still together. But the whole thing about, we talked about bringing guests, and Jasmine wants to bring Mariah, who is her actual best friend, and who, well, some may call it unfair, some may call it fair, got an unfair shot last season and had to leave because of a series of unfortunate events, and hands were put on Bria. And also Nick wanted to come back. Also, Bria wants to bring Nick back. At first thought, I didn't think the two were the same. I felt bigger feelings about Nick than I felt with Mariah. And then I sat with it and I'm like, well, hands were put on Bria. And for most shows, that's a no no. So am I just being unfair because I don't care for Bria?
Yes, because I'm being the same way.
No.
Because I'm team keep your hands to yourself. That goes across all shows, life, just everywhere. Don't really understand why scream, yell, say what you want, but keep your hands to yourself. And Mariah did put her hands on Bria, and she should have been kicked out for that. I can't remember if I changed my mind since last year. But the thing about Nick is that at least with Mariah and there was an event. There was like something that happened to, I don't want to say set her off, but there was an actual conflict. Nick just walked in being an ass. Like Nick walked in and created fights where there were none to be had, just being himself.
Um, and for those who didn't watch, he also pooped in someone's toilet and refused to flush because he wanted a room just so they could find it and he wanted somebody else to flush that toilet. That is pretty disrespectful.
That's like, I don't want to say sociopathic, but someone getting to like using poop as like a weapon.
A weapon? Like who even thinks of that shit? No pun intended. Like why would you do that? And here's my thing with Bria also. Summer put hands on her and she doesn't seem to have a problem with that.
I forgot that. When did Summer put hands on her? Sorry.
Last season where they had that fight and Summer, I hope I'm not mixing up with Shanice, but I think it was Summer. And they were in the room and Simon was in the room also and they got into this fight and she put hands on her. Like she literally shoved her and stuff,
And
but
the
she doesn't seem to be making an issue of that.
Well, yeah. And how did that fight start? Because was it that was the fight that started because Shanice was naked in front of Simon, which didn't seem like a big deal at all. Just Bria
Oh,
being Bria.
yeah, so that was Shanice then, not Summer.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. I'm asking. You said Shanice, so I'm trying to see.
Okay. I feel like Shanice was the one who got naked. Is that what the fight was about? Where the shoving happened, or
Yes,
was that a different fight?
it was the same night. It was the same night. Someone's gonna come and correct us. I wish I knew who it was. But either way, hands were put on her and she's not making a big deal about it. And she's not feeling like, oh, this is like a terrible thing or whatever. And I don't know why. And the other thing is that an interview has been unearthed where after season one, she was asked about Mariah. She said, oh, we're good now. I'll be happy to have her back in the house, that it's okay. And then now all of a sudden you're on TV and it's not okay.
It
Like, can
felt like a
we?
power flex. It didn't feel like a genuine, I don't want her here. It just felt like a way to be mad about when a plane ticket was bought, because that was the other thing. She was fine with it until she found out from Phil, the shit stirrer, that the plane ticket was bought. And then suddenly she's like, oh, I can't have her in there. I didn't think it was very genuine. Oh, I held my peace before, but now I'm like, oh, I can't hold it in anymore. She can't come.
Yeah. So I just think it was. I just think it was. That's why I feel like she's on TV and she just wants to create drama.
Which on one hand, I guess is okay, but no, no. It doesn't make her very likable. Sorry.
To me it's like it's just not natural. I think if you're gonna be a villain, like I know like what Shanice is going through right now is like a lot and she's acting all out of order. But to me it's at least natural. I don't feel like she's putting it on. Like it doesn't make sense to us, but that's what's happening. But Bria's just seems put on, and I don't like that. I don't like when people think that the audience is just not gonna see through stuff. I don't like that.
Preston, when he was on Watch What Happens Live, was very, well, it felt like very annoyed with Bria about the Mariah situation. And when was asked, oh, is this the same thing as the Phil thing? Is it a compromise? He's like, no, there are a lot of people who don't want Phil in the house. She is the only one who doesn't want Mariah. She is holding us all hostage, is basically what he said. So yeah,
Mm.
I mean that was Preston's take. I almost felt like, wow, Preston really does not like Bria.
Yeah, I think I had a discussion with a friend, and we kind of think that something happened off air that isn't being discussed because Preston has really strong feelings about Bria also. I want to apologize. Earlier I said Nick, I meant Phil.
Oh,
Sorry.
okay, I missed
Yeah.
it.
Um yeah, so there has to be something that maybe happened that we don't know. But my fear for Martha's Vineyard is we are going to enter territory where they don't like each other and they're kind of faking it for TV, but we can tell. I don't want to get to the point where things are happening and people are making like looks and then things are divided. I just need authenticity. I don't want anybody coming here and putting on airs. Because even when Preston was really upset about Phil, when he was crying by the barbecue, I didn't quite understand the scene of what he was crying about, but that could just be me. But I don't know if there was something that wasn't shown to us between him and Phil because he seemed to be the center point for the whole Phil drama, even though, if I recall, Amir was actually who went up to him, but Amir is not the center person. It is Preston. That's the focal
What,
point of Phil.
like they haven't said it explicitly, but what Preston has been saying is that he, this is what I am understanding from what is not being said. He felt like Phil's hostility towards him was homophobia. Like
Okay.
that is what I'm reading. Um
Okay.
and then he had some very specific words that Phil used that I was like, he feels like Phil was bullying him for being gay. This is all like my interpretation. I think it's based on what I've heard, but that's what I believe. And that's
Okay.
why the conversation with Preston, I'll give Phil this. You know, he had that conversation with Preston. I think he did the best he could there, to clear things up. I actually feel like Phil was basically like, I was just being an ass because I'm an asshole, like not because you're gay.
Yeah.
Like that was his defense, and I think Preston accepted that.
Yeah, I think I appreciate how they're able to move on. I don't know if it's real, but they're able to move on to keep things moving. Because Mariah had a conversation with Bria also, and they kept that moving, you know?
I won't consider the Mariah thing fully resolved until Mariah actually gets to spend the night in this house, whether it's this season or next season.
So the question is, should Amir apologize publicly for what happened?
Um, is it wrong to say I don't really care?
Yes.
I don't. You know what? I guess you're right because I guess if I don't care, I do care. I don't think it's that deep, and I also don't think, what is Amir apologizing for? For not saying something about how it was his fault? If I see two people screaming about some minor thing that no one should ever be screaming about in the first place, like it wasn't that big of a deal. The only, I mean, he did take. It's not like he lied. Later on, he's like, "Yeah, I'm the one who did it," but I don't. What is he apologizing for?
So you know how okay, so I think he should have apologized. He doesn't necessarily have to, but it doesn't hurt to. You know how we talk about there are people who watch the show and just strictly watch the show, and there are people who watch the show and they go online, they listen to podcasts, and they know a lot of people might not have known that there was a misunderstanding. He did say it on TV and all that stuff, but I feel like I got more in depth about it after the show ended and he said something about it. So the same way that there's chatter, just if it makes her feel better, just do it. It doesn't hurt, I think. But he was so indifferent about it. I think that's what I didn't quite understand. Even if it was in the confessional and he's like, "Oh, I'm sorry that, this caused a misunderstanding or whatever." He was just like, "Nah, I'm not apologizing." She went home because she put hands, which is factual, but
It's
she
true.
got there. She got there because she thought the dog thing was on there. Although the other flip side was like, I just think Mariah was not at a good time in her life. because she was already given not negative energy, but there was something going on with her at that
Yes,
time.
and I think she was also pretty sad about being separated from her son.
Yeah,
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 I'm not really into this whole like Amir needs to apologize because his mistake, it wasn't like he did something intentionally bad, right? It was just a mistake,
yeah.
led to people screaming at each other who should have not been screaming at each other over what was a laundry mistake. Like I never understood it. I was like, can't you just rewash the clothes? Like, what is the big deal here?
Did she say she was allergic to dogs, or she just doesn't like dogs? She said she was allergic, right?
And I understand if she's allergic, like, I don't know how bad her allergy is, but I'm assuming can't you just rewash the clothes? I did not understand, like, what terrible thing happened because the clothes were in the wash. I think that's why I'm like, why is Amir apologizing? What is he apologizing for?
I think it was a cumulative thing. Everyone was already pretty annoyed with the dog being
Hmm.
around, and it's like if you're not going to keep your dog in check, now you have to mix it in with my clothes, and you're not even going to be apologetic about it. And she just lost her shit, and that's probably what happened. But staying on the same lane of Amir and his girlfriend are not going to last. At least maybe I'm just hoping they're not going to last. I'm not a fan.
No one was a fan. No one in that house is a fan. No one who watched is a fan. How are you going to come on reality TV and no one like you? I was also confused because they asked him, "Oh, what are you looking forward to the relationship?" And she said he's coming to work with me. And I was like, on what? What do they? Is she an influencer?
Real estate.
Oh, okay. I was confused. I was very confused.
That's all she talked about. She sells 1 million in a month. He does whatever under 1 million in a year, and then she's gonna do that. That's all she talked about. That she's a real estate agent, and I guess he does it. He's also supposed to be a personal trainer, but maybe he doesn't do that anymore. And he just got that. But even that, her tone was just a little condescending. And Amir is so eager to please her. He seems to be on edge every single time he's talking to her. Oh, I didn't do this. Oh, I didn't do that. And then she just seems to have him on the defensive every single time. And then she seems to have a problem with Jordan. Ma'am, please take your insecurity and go.
I, yeah, I mean, she just her impression was not that positive. No one seemed to like her. You know who I love though? I love Donald. I was thinking about Bravo's long history with black gay men, and I was like, look how far we've come. From bring your gay to a party on Real Housewives of Atlanta to a lovely relationship that we get to see on a Bravo show between two black men. Lovely. Thank you, Bravo.
Yeah, I can't believe we saw Preston in his jockstrap. I
Don't
just
remind me.
couldn't believe they didn't even like blur out his butt or anything. They just left it all there for everyone to see. Sorry, I didn't mean to go back to Amir's girlfriend, but I just want to know what Natalie means when it was time for Freaknik, and she's like, "I cannot be a part of that."
I don't know. I don't know.
Mm,
My favorite thing I
okay,
saw on Twitter about Freaknik was that, and I'm glad this person reminded me because I was horrified when it seemed like most of the cast did not know who Arthur Ashe was.
that's a travesty. Quite
I was
frankly,
so pissed.
quite frankly, that's a travesty. Like you can't go all that and come on. Yeah, poor Nick. Because he had the best costume too. But
And he
anyways,
really
they
does
didn't
look like Arthur
appreciate it.
Ashe. He looks
And
so much like him.
yeah, unfortunate. I mean, the girls seem to think that he had the best look also for Freaknik. And I just loved it because he came with the fake bottles of Hypnotic and Alize. And I'm just like, oh my God,
It's been
this
a minute since I've seen a
is
bottle
so
of
funny.
Hypnotic.
That is so funny. But also, for those who are just hearing about Freaknik for the first time, there is a documentary on Hulu, and if you watch Married to Med, Dr. Simone's husband is in it. So you know, little Bravo. Everything was it. Everything leads to Bravo.
And now, this whole Arthur Ashe thing, sorry to like get even more sidetracked, but just make sure you all know who Althea Gibson is too. Just to make sure we got everybody covered. If the same time you're learning about Arthur Ashe, make sure you learn about Althea Gibson. Okay, Black History test is over for the episode, hopefully.
Yeah, I think we covered most of what is going on because she had to fight with Summer. Bria and Summer. Sorry, we were trying to figure out who she had to fight with. Yeah, but I think we covered most of what's going on. They are getting a reunion this season. I'm quite excited about that. I hope Andy gets to ask all the questions. I think it's going great. I hope they get renewed. Um, Jasmine has had her baby for anyone who is interested. And what else? Are we missing anything else?
Give me 1 minute to ensure that we are not missing anything else. Oh, we just forgot one little thing. My mother is a two-time convicted felon. Because that
Ah!
was.
Yes. I'm sorry. Say it. Go ahead.
So, Jasmine, I can't even remember what the argument was about. Um, but for some reason in her confessional, she decided to say, my mother is a two-time convicted felon, like basically don't try me. And then the funniest part is that her mom was with her when she went out watch What Happens Live, and not we didn't talk about it. I was like, how could you not? We can't. Why are we not discussing this iconic line of your daughter's here?
Maybe she did not know.
Uh,
Maybe she did not like it.
Maybe.
Maybe she did not like it. And just to get the full quote going, I can't remember. I mean, this was when she was pissed off with the whole Jasmine and sorry, with the whole Bria thing and getting the tickets and everybody just went off and all that. And she's in a confessional and you don't know where this is going. She's like, I think my friends see me as someone who's chill, who not a lot of things bother me, but my mother is a brilliant and resilient. Then this is where he goes left. Two-time convicted felon. Do not try me today. I'm like, she ate. She ate with that confessional because I thought she was gonna say her mother's a brilliant and resilient like scientist or researcher or something.
But
He
she could
said,
be all those things while also being a two-time convicted felon.
well, yeah, I was not expecting that at all, but I was like, yeah, that was good, Jasmine. Love it,
What?
love it.
So now that Jasmine and Silas have a baby, and hopefully Silas will be back from deployment by the summer, which is coming. Uh, how do you do summer house? I'm like, where are you going to put the baby? I mean, I want you guys there, but where are we going to put the baby?
Oh, someone's mom or something is gonna watch the baby, and
Like
then they'll
close
come for
by?
the summer, huh?
I'm like close by.
They don't have to be close by. What do you mean?
I mean, I know it's only 2 weeks, but I'm like, I just I'm trying to envision a season of Summer House. I think they would just spend a lot of time talking about how they missed the baby.
That's fine, but they also know there's a TV show. Currently, I am watching the Challenge All Stars. There is a woman in South Africa who is competing for money, and she's pumping milk, and her baby is with her brother's sister. And she
Well,
left the baby and is there for 2 weeks. So a lot of this reality show, they gotta go where the coins are. It depends on what's important. She might sit out the summer. Who knows?
she did say when she was on Watch What Happens Live that she's like having a great time going to the spa and like after the baby has been really good and restful and whatnot. And someone asked who was watching the baby while she was at the spa, and she's like, my mom, or I think she said her mom or Silas's mom.
Yeah.
So
So I think what might happen is maybe she takes like a flight maybe during and it's like, oh, I'll be back, like maybe a few days off to go see the baby, or maybe she goes on a weekend and then comes back. That's my guess. It's either that or she's not there at all.
all I know is there better be a season 3. That's all I know.
Hmm. I agree. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this. If we missed anything, let us know your comments. Let us know what you think, and we hope you're watching. And for those who haven't watched, if you're looking for something to watch, go ahead. The first season was just 8 episodes. It's a quick binge. And so far this season, they're on 6 episodes. So, treat yourself.
And this week, because I'm behind in all areas of life, I enjoyed Tane and Nana's coverage of the first Sex and the City movie. So be sure to check that out on the Rewatch podcast that Dane has. Um,
Thank you.
no worries. Um, I'm waiting for you guys to do the second movie.
I don't know when that's gonna happen. There was like a long break before we got this, but we shall try.
Appreciate it. Appreciate. Um, you can find us on Instagram and Twitter at AltarCallMAFS. That's ALTARCALLMAFS. Feel free to share all of your thoughts, as Tank said, about Summer House Martha's Vineyard, also known as the Black One.
Yes, we love hearing from you guys on social media. We're available anywhere you listen to your podcast. And now that the match season is over, stay subscribed because our schedule might be up and down and you never want to miss a new episode. Please give us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and we will see you on the next episode. Bye, guys.
Bye.